Alrighty. Well, shit. Oh. Stupid microphone at the last minute decided it didn't want to work. But we fixed it good. Hello, Commodore. And hello, everyone on Internet Land. I'm the Gamecraft Dragon, Big D. And we're here to talk about Warhammer. All things Warhammer, all things Wargaming, all things terrain, and just have a generally fun time. Now that we're back from California. This is our new time slot. This is our new machine. The potato is gone. We have a machine that can handle some shit. What do you want? Go walk in on your own computer.
I can't say hi.
Whatever. Come in and wave your head in and say hi. All right. Everybody, that's the Plague Child, who has been around for months because they no longer love me.
I come in once in a while.
Whatever. Oh my God. I am having a wonderful night. I suddenly hurt my hip a little bit. So I decided to imbibe a little bit of rum and a little bit of Dr. Pepper. And we are feeling good. We are feeling real good, folks. So, hello, crafters. Let's talk about what's on the bench. Let's just get right into it. Let's first talk about what was going on. Why we weren't here last week. We were in California. Lady D and I had gone out to California to see my youngest's high school graduation and celebrate her birthday because we were meant to go out in February, but we couldn't. So we drove out. 2 days driving, 14 to 15 hours each day out, 5 days in Sacramento, California, and then 14 and 15-hour days driving back, and came back Sunday night. I spent yesterday trying to regain my sanity because let me tell you, driving across Nevada, Utah, and Wyoming, and Kansas. Holy shit, that's flat. I mean, there's some cool mountains, some cool vistas, and some cool views, but for the most part, it's a lot of flat nothing. Dead, desert, salt flats,
I'm sure they aren't
plains. It was dead. Hey, Tom, good to see you, buddy. My God, Heinrich Buffa, my buddy Buffa. How are you, sir? How you doing? It's good to see y'all. I am in a great mood. A little bit of change in temperature, change in weather, change in locale. Did a lot to get the creative juices going. Did a lot to get the brain going. Did a lot to change up that chemistry. And get me into a good place. I'm in a great place right now. Lady D has a new job. And I should say she has an old job, but she's got new hours. She tried to do something else and realized her body cannot handle it. Even though she has been healed, she is not still 100%. So she is going to be back and working a lot more hours at the hobby store. So Warhammer is on the horizon, my friends. Things are good. Things are good, though. She's got to get a lot more hours there. So I have some more time. I'm going to have some time to work on some projects. We've got a lot of things planned. You can see the mess behind me. We are in the midst of moving the studio. We have started the move to get the studio out of this room and moving it into another room. And we're going to turn a good portion of this into a gaming studio so we can actually do filming in here so we can start working on some of the battle report campaigns that we're planning on. So, Commodore, just be aware, I'm going to be hitting you up for you and either your orcs or your Imperial Fists or even maybe your knights. We're going to be talking because I want to get some nice narrative games going. I had some great views. I took a bunch of pictures. Lady D and I probably took about 300 pictures of the terrain on the drive back. just to get some ideas of terrain. I have some really great ideas for some narrative boards, stuff to come up. Refreshed, motivated, having a week off of vacation. My first vacation in a very long time. I haven't had an actual vacation. Oh, buddy boy, you have to play 40K again. You bet your ass you got to play some 40K because you're going to be bringing your Imperial fists and you're going to be taking on some Necrons. Well, let me tell you, I got an idea. Well, we'll talk about it later. But like I said, we're going to have a bunch of narrative stuff. I want to get like a narrative campaign going. We're also going to be playing some Age of Sigmar, which I'm playing Thursday. I'm administrating a escalation league just to kind of get some flavor out there and see who's into Age of Sigmar. We just did May as the 750 month just to kind of get some interest out there, see who's into it, see who wants to play. Starting here in June, we're going to be doing... I don't know. I think we're going to do 1250. I mean, I got to talk to people, see what they're into. We're going to have people just bring what they have and figure it out from there. Maybe 1250, maybe actually full 1500. We'll figure it out when we get there. Fight for the Iron Throne. You know, that is another good thing that's on the horizon because you and I are going to play some of that too. We're gonna see some Song of Fire and Ice because that is. Let me tell you. If you're not familiar with that game, you need to be familiar with that game. That is a great, amazing war game. Such a fun game. I want to say thank you. A really huge, big thank you to Commodore. My birthday was about a month ago, and he knew how much I really, really wanted to get the new set for the wildlings, the guys that live north, the free folk. And Commodore and Lady Phoenix, with my birthday, they gifted me the starter set. And we had to play a game, and I got absolutely destroyed with it because there's parts of them that suck and parts of them that are good. I haven't figured out what's good and what sucks with them yet. But I love the army, and I love the play style. And I it's growing on me. I picked up a few more units. I love the game. If you're not playing A Song of Fire and Ice, you need to be playing it. It is cheap. It is good. It is fast to play. It is easy to understand. It's just overall just a really great, great game. And it's not a big dedication to get in it. You spend like $100 and you buy your army starter box, and it gives you everything you need to play. You got your figures, you got your cards, you got your tokens, you got everything in there. Whatever, man. I played against my son, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I played a game and I lost and I loved it. Who cares? It was great. And he played this weekend while I was gone, and he went and played with his buddy, and he played Starks versus Lannisters because I've got the starter box, and he absolutely wrecked his poor buddy. And yeah, no, I mean, this game is great. I mean, $100 you get the basic army. If you want additional units, are like $35 for a full unit. Everything you need for it: the cards, the dudes. You got an HQ dude in there that you can put in the unit if you want to upgrade him. They come with movement trays, $35 USD. They're awesome. The company itself updates their cards, like they review their stuff on a regular basis. So if something doesn't seem balanced or something's broken, they fix it. If somebody's getting their ass beat time after time after time, they figure out what's going on with it and they play test it and they update it and they fix it. They have a really vested interest in keeping the game fresh, live, fresh, and playable. So it's a great, great game. So if you're not playing A Song of Fire and Ice, I cannot recommend it enough. It's more on the books. Don't look at the TV show. Don't look at Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones may have informed a lot of us that weren't reading the books about the series, but the books are very different. So there's a lot more characters that show up in the game than show up in the show. It's just overall, it's just really, really good. It's really, really good. So every new faction is really unique in their own way. If you haven't read the book, get the first book and read it. Maybe get the first 2 books and read it. Watching the first 2 seasons is pretty close to the books. You miss a bunch of characters, you miss some subplots, but the first 2 books really kind of line up. It's great. At least gives you an idea of who you want to root for, who you're rooting to win this war. They've announced that recently, like coming real soon. The guys from the South are coming.
Dorn?
Yeah, the people of Dorne are coming, and they're an interesting army to begin with. So they'll be cool to see.
Piqued my interest.
Yeah, the Martells. Yeah, the people of Dorne.
I just remember the nationality.
Yeah, the Dornish, the Martells. But they're good. They should be really good. So right now they've got the Starks. They've got the Lannisters, they've got the Baratheons, which you can play either Stannis the Manus or Renly. And if their unique thing is that depends on which one of them you're playing. If you're playing Renly, there are certain units you can have and other units you can't have, and the same for Stannis. So which one of those 2 factions within the Baratheons you play tell you who you can have as your allied units. They've got the Free Folk of the far north. They have the Iron Isles. So the Greyjoy, which is, if I pick up a second army, that might be who I pick up because I kind of like the Greyjoy army. And then they've got the Black Watch. I've currently got the Lannister and the Lannister and Stark's starter box, the first edition box set, and I've got the Free Folk box set. So I'm going to probably expand on my Starks. I don't know if I'm going to expand on my Lannisters. I maybe at some point, but they're not really high on my list. But I will be probably expanding on the Starks. I definitely want to get some more Free Folk. I want to get their War Mammoth. I think that's just, I don't care if it's a good unit or not. I just want to get it because it looks cool.
He's very excited about the Giants.
And I have 2 Giants. I want to get one so I can have the giant HQ person, which is really neat. And then, like I said, I'll probably get into the Greyjoys next. Little D is really into the Black Watch, which, again, speaking from a wargaming perspective, the Black Watch are kind of like your custodies. They're like a very high, expensive units, but they're really high ability units. So we'll see how it goes. I want a quick shout out to Commodore. If you could throw a link, Mr. Commodore, I forgot to grab that because I was trying to get my mic working at the last minute. If you could throw a link in both the Wolf Lord chat and then the Factlandia chat, I would appreciate it. Because I'm only seeing 3 people here tonight. That means people aren't getting to see me at my best. I'm at my best tonight. I'm feeling good. What else is on the bench? Well, I am prepping for Night's Watch. Putting on the black. Whatever them dudes. Jon Snow, the man who knows nothing. Anyhow. So I am working on, I'm prepping for Horace Heresy, actually, along with finishing up the painting commission I was on. I took, again, 10 days off, so I didn't do shit for 10 days. But I've been printing a few things since I got back, before I left. And so I got to print a couple more pieces to finish this off. But I have a Land Raider Mobius, I think it's called. I have the Las Cannon. I just got to print the mounts for the other Las Cannon, And then I can prime this buddy, and he is done. I'm probably going to do some cleanup on it. I got to go in with a sanding stick and a couple scraper points. But I have a Land Raider done. So I will have a Land Raider there to add to my army. Oh man, Heresy. I am so hyped for Heresy, which is dumb. It's dumb. Why am I hyped for Heresy? I didn't want to get into 7th edition when 7th edition was like, I had an opportunity to get back into 40K during 7th edition when 7th edition came out. I had an opportunity to get in there, and I looked at the rules. I'm like, this is too complicated. I don't want to deal with this right now. So I got the box set. I had the rules. I'm like, Anyway, I did this. I didn't. When 8th edition came out, I'm like, oh shit, I love this, and I jumped in. And now that I've been playing 8th and now 9th edition, I'm like, I kind of like the idea of Heresy. I kind of like the idea of those rules, and I've always liked the idea about Heresy. So it's like, you know what? Here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to jump right into Heresy. So I've got a Land Raider printed. I have a bunch of Mark III Marines printed and prepped. Blast templates. Yeah, I'm all about it. I'm actually, like I said, I'm really hyped for Heresy. One of the things I really want to do, though, is that I've been hemming and hawing, and I realize the reason I'm hemming and hawing is because I really love both armies. So, F it. I'm going to do both, because it's not like I'm going to do 8,000 points or 5,000 points of each army. I'm going to build a working force, probably 25 to 3,000 points, so I can swap and move some units around to try out slightly different configurations. But I'm going to do 2 armies. I'm going to do an army of Hereticus. I'm going to do Word Bearers. If you're looking at that, if you look at that thumbnail, that flaming skull, I'm doing Word Bearers. But I'm also going to do my good old Wolves. We're going to bring Layman Rust and the boys into the fight. And we're going to do Wolves and Word Bearers. I figure if you're going to do good, do the best of the boys. Do the best, most loyal boys. And if you're going to do bad, why choose the lesser evil? Let's just go. Let's play the guys that are the reason that the Empire is in shit condition here in the 40th millennium. So we're going to do Word Bearers. We're going to do Wolves. One of the things I really like is the fact that since paint jobs are kind of set, like there's not a lot of, I don't got to get like super creative in the paint jobs. I can basically just play, connect the dots, and just kind of fill in as I go. There's a part of me that's kind of like, that's kind of a relief. I don't have to think about it. I just got to do like a halfway decent paint job. The Wolves are just gray. They're freaking gray. That's it. A little bit of work on their shoulder pads, and they're done. Shit. That's it. They're done. So they're going to be easy to do. Yeah, and then like my Word Bearers, I'm going to do a little fancy on them because I'm going to do them as one of their heretic companies. The Word Bearers have this thing where like they have a number of like heretic companies where they've got elites that have storylines behind them. So I'm going to do them in their colors, but I'm going to do them in a split. So they're going to be half red and half metal. So instead of being their all red armor or their pre Heresy armor, which was all metal, like a dark metal, I'm going to do them as a split. I might even do it just split it black and red because that's their other color. But I'm going to do a 50-50 split, like left side, right side split on them. But I'm going to do Word Bearer. I really, really want to do Word Bearers. I got stuck in the Word Bearer idea when I first heard about Heresy, and I've been messing with the idea for that for a long time. And now that Horus Heresy 2 is coming out, I'm like, this is a really great chance to actually do this. And I can do my Heresy army, and I can do my Heresy word bearers, and I can do my Space Wolves. And that way I can do more narrative gaming. And that's a really important part. I mean, a really, really huge, important part of Heresy, which is why it really freaking appeals to me, is that as much as I've enjoyed competitive playing in 8th and 9th edition, there's something about the storytelling aspect that Horus Heresy revolves around that I really appeals to me. It's part of the reason I've been really enjoying Age of Sigmar, because Age of Sigmar plays very cinematically. I mean, it really does. It plays to a narrative base. I mean, there's huge magic supposedly going off and huge crazy magical attacks and combos and crazy stuff going on. And I dig that narrative feel to Age of Sigmar. And the way Horus Heresy seems to work, it seems to be more of a, yeah, it's balanced, but it's really about the storytelling aspects that are more important. The missions seem to be very narrative in mind. They've got very specific things about how to adapt certain stories from the books into missions. So I mean, I'm all about that. I really am all about that. I want to tell some stories. So since I don't think Commodore is at all interested in Horus Heresy, I may have to find a separate sidekick if I decide to do some Heresy battle reports, some storytelling Heresy battle reports. Maybe Tog, you and I'll hook up about that, because I really want to play Heresy. It's a non-competitive game. It's a game you play for fun. It's a game you play for storytelling, and that just appeals to me. I'll be honest, it's not that I don't want to do competitive 40K, but I've done monthly tournaments 4 months in a row now, and I can kind of see at this point why certain people I know are really disenchanted with 40K right now. Balance isn't there. The love of your army doesn't save your army. You know, whatever's new in the codex is just, that's the one to go for. And like I said, I can understand why people are kind of like about 40K right now. So I think 30K is going to be like a huge palate cleanser, a lot like Age of Sigmar. And Age of Sigmar has some balance issues. Let's not lie. There are still some major balance issues in Age of Sigmar. I just picked up the latest issue of White Dwarf, which has updates for the Hedonites, because the Hedonites are there. They haven't got an update under the new version of Age of Sigmar, and basically the rules that they implied for them are Crusade rules, and only Crusade rules. I mean, there is some open play and some match play rules, but they didn't really alter, adjust, or change any of their mechanics. They added a couple extra things if you get depravity points. But like, the perfect problem was that their biggest problem is that because they're so fragile, they're hard as hell to get depravity points to start with. And if you don't play Age of Sigmar and you don't familiar with the Hedonites of Slaanesh, their whole army, their major win condition is injuring units but not killing them, or getting injured and not having a unit wiped out. They get power from wounding without killing. And the problem is that they're so fragile that they die like bitches. Just Dead. Especially if you're playing against an army that's got a lot of ranged attacks, because they don't really have any ward, they have very little armor, and they're all one wound models, so they just die. They have no way to resist mortal wounds. They have no, I mean, they really do. They just, if they can get into you, they can tear stuff. They can really, really tear stuff up. But if you're facing against ranged units, and a lot of armies kind of lean heavily on their ranged units, they just die. And I guess there's a way to play around it, but you have to play specific units to get around it. And that's not the units I have, nor it's the units I want to play. I want to play my demons. I want to play a primarily demonette-based army just because I love the aesthetic. Well, that doesn't work because demonettes don't have ranged weapons. So they have to get in the melee, and by the time they get in the melee, they've been shot down and they're dead. It's not a good scene. So I'm building them, and I'll paint them when I get the chance. But I'm kind of focusing on my Nurgle boys right now because the Maggotkin are pretty cool. They're one of the first codexes to come out. They've got updated rules. They're very durable, and they've got a lot of shenanigans they do, which I really love. They're very shenanigan heavy. They're like, la, 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 la. They do lots of stupid things. They're fun. So and that's the thing. I want to tell more stories. These pain projects. Speaking of Nurgle, as long as we're talking about, now I had borrowed this fat boy from my buddy Quinn at Gaming. And Quinn, I want to thank you oh so much for letting me use Fat Boy here. I've played one game with him. He's great. I love the figure. I love what he does on the table. He's a great sculpt. This is the framework for my replacement. So you can see it's pretty close in size. So this is going to be my great unclean one. I have a guy that's going to sit here, and his throne has a bell that slots in. I have to mess with it to get it to slot in, but it basically, you have to rotate it to get it to go in, but it slots in, and that way you can play the great unclean one that carries the doom bell. Pull that back out. So this is going to take the place of my great unclean one. I love this figure so disgustingly much. It's just foul. Yeah, I printed it up in size. Now here's the thing. This is not the size it normally prints at. I upgraded it at 150% because the base size is big, but it's not ridiculously big. So I wanted it to be, because you're absolutely right. Great unclean ones are phenomenally huge. They're on a 130 millimeter circle base. Yeah, there we go. So that's the bell that'll be on there, and then I have a fat boy that sits on the throne. So I've got a 130 millimeter base on order with Games Workshop that I will eventually be mounting this thing onto. But yeah, the tentacles are just, This thing is just it's such a foul and lovely model. It is a pain. There we go. You have to kind of slot this back and forth. And the reason I'm doing it differently is I'm going to be using some very specific paints and effects on this bell to make it very verdigris covered. And meanwhile, the stone is going to be like filthy. So I'm keeping it separate for now for painting purposes. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge model. Once I scaled it up 150%, it's going to be a lot of fun to play with. So that's what's on the bench. I mean, I know that's a lot going on, but I've got a lot of projects going on. I'm finishing up. I've got a few. I want to say like few Sisters of Battle to finish up for that commission, which I'm not actually painting anything. I'm spending all my time painting those things to get those done. But I've kind of made a thing for myself. This Horace Heresy is kind of sort of my last hurrah until the Leagues of Votan come on. I'm not buying any other new models. I might print stuff, but I'm not buying any new models, and I'm specifically not buying any new armies. I've hit my limit of what I can logically play. My one Chaos Knight, I think I'm going to specifically just use that Chaos Knight to run with my Nurgle army, and just that night. I don't think I'm going to actually run a full Chaos Knight setup. I could. I don't have those models, and I don't want to print them. I don't want to get another army. I like the idea of Knights. I like them, but I don't. But I do, but I don't. I have a pretty large Loyalist Imperial set of Knights, so eventually I'll finish them up and get them up into a Loyalist army for them. But again, I don't like Knights specifically in competitive, so I want to play them more narrative. So I want to play with my big Knights. You know, I want to play with my Castellan and a couple of the Crusader and the Paladin, and then just have a couple of my what do you call it, the Armiger and the Warhounds. I want to use these little guys, just a couple of them. I want to basically focus on mainly big Knights. That's just the way I am. But I don't want to play them competitively. I just want to play them for fun. So there'll be something I do for a narrative game. I'm thinking at some point maybe me and Commodore will get together for a battle report that we can just do, you know, rock'em sock'em robots and throw 2,000 points of Knights at each other and just have a hoot of a night just smashing robots. I've got a ton of Guard, and I think they're great. And they suck right now. And when they get their book, they'll be better. But I'm looking forward to Votan. I am looking forward to 30K and Votan. That's where my focus is right now. That and Age of Sigmar. So yeah, I got a lot of things going on. But you know, that's the problem with this hobby. It's too good. It's far too good of a hobby. So what is going on? Well, obviously we're talking about Heresy because Heresy is awesome. Horace Heresy 2.0 goes on pre-sale on Saturday. Hey, Art, good to see you. Here's the thing. I've already kind of talked with the manager at Mequan's Games Universe, and I think once Heresy comes out, like we're gonna have like 2 months because we're gonna have June and July for playing Age of Sigmar because we're only gonna play 3 months. So it was May, June, July. That's all we're gonna play for Age of Sigmar, and then I want to get into a Heresy escalation narrative league so that people get a chance to learn the game, start small. That is my view on what escalation should be. Escalation should be about using an army, learning an army, playing an army. So I think I talked to him. He's cool with it. He loves that. He's a big Heresy fan himself. So I think we're going to start Heresy there, starting in August. I also want to talk to Falklandia because I know they've got a bit of a Heresy crowd there, who I actually need to hook up with Tech Noir, my buddy Tech Noir. Big love to Jason, Tech Noir out there, Tech Noir Studios. If you do not have Tech Noir Studios on Instagram, you need to go out there and look at his stuff. The man is a fabulous, fabulous painter. He also has a YouTube channel with my buddy Antonio Alcazar called Minority Report, where the two of them are looking back at like 80s and early 90s movies, action movies, sci-fi movies, all kinds of movies, mainly focusing on 80s and 90s. If you're not subscribed to that channel, please go subscribe to it. It's one of my favorite channels out there. They do a weekly or bi-weekly podcast where they look at movies. Technor Studios on Instagram. He does amazing work. But I need to get with him because he's the guy that really got me fired up into doing Horace Heresy. And he's just a really great gamer on a whole. So I want to get in with him and my guy Tyler and my guy Jack and a couple other guys out there that I know that hang out at Falklandia and at Games Universe in Franklin. I want to get with them and try and get some Horace Heresy games in to understand the system better, and then help facilitate a escalation league starting in August. So all these people that wanting to play a Horace Heresy have a chance to get their models built, to get like a 500-point starter army built, and let's throw some dice, use some templates, and have a good old time. Heresy is this push for Heresy. Now, the noticeable thing, and I don't know if anybody's noticed this, again, I talked about it in the past. I used to work in the gaming industry. I worked for about 10 years. I worked for Wizards of the Coast. I also wrote and did some copy work for West End games. So I still know a couple people in the industry, and it is a very interesting point that Horace Heresy started off as a big push from Forge World to bring some interest into Forge World. What are you doing? Bringing some interest into Forge World. If you've noticed Games Workshop's website today or this week, I thought it changed on Sunday or Monday. Horace Heresy now takes a Prime slot on the Games Workshop Prime website. Their main website, 40K, Age of Sigmar, Lord of the Rings, box games. Horace Heresy is right in there. So Horace Heresy is going to become one of their flagship games. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that Forge World's not going to have Heresy anymore? No, they're not. They're not phasing out Forge World. Forge World is still going to be what Forge World is, but they've been talking about it. And I mean, Forge World basically produces their low count models. They're big resin low count models. So, their biggest of knights, their titans, their secondary market models, like some of the Blood Bowl Star Heroes are done through Forge World. Stuff that GW doesn't want to deal with themselves, they kind of parse it out to Forge World because Forge World uses different means. They're not doing plastic. They're doing resin. They're doing large-scale resin casting. Talmant is a perfect example. If you buy a Talmanta, one of the things you get is a certificate saying it's official, and it tells you how many times that model has been cast. So your number is literally the whatever number of time this model has been cast and sold. So Forge World's going to be still around, but you're going to see Heresy move to a mainstream game. So they're going to have this box set. Now, everybody knows about this box set, but the other big thing that they talked about, and they talked about this, I want to say they talked about it during the Fan Fest, not the one they just had like last month, but the one that was in February when they first announced that they were doing Horace Heresy. One of the big announcements that they're going to give Horace Heresy the same glow up that they've done the 9th edition and to Age of Sigmar, meaning it's going to have 3 starter sets. This Age of Darkness starter set is effectively the Dominion or the Indomitus Crusade box for the new 30K. So what we'll see is probably 2 to 3 months down the line, we're going to see a set of 3 starters. You're going to have a $50 starter, a $100 starter, and a $150 starter. And you're going to see the same starter setup. I don't know if they're going to stick terrain in the box because, I mean, that's what they did with both the Indomitus and Dominion. The top level box there, the big starter box, has the same things as the $100 box, but it added in terrain for playing your battlefield. So that might be what we're looking at for the 3rd tier, the top tier starter set for Horace Heresy. Nobody knows really yet, but we are going to see a 3-box starter series for Horace Heresy. They're committing the plastic. The Demos pattern Rhino, which has been a long stay in resin, is now coming to plastic. The Sicarian, long-term stay in resin, is coming to plastic. The new upgraded Land Raider thing, I think it's called a Maverick or something like that. It's a big Land Raider that is coming in plastic. It's actually in the starter box. The fact that they're doing new beaky sculpts, they're doing specifically Mark 6 sculpts, and they're going to be in boxes of 20 at a time. It's a big deal. I mean, 20-man boxes, they're probably going to be more expensive than, say, if you look at like a box of like Tactical Marines right now. I think a box of Tacticals goes for like 42 or 45, something like that. You're probably looking at a box of the new Mark 6s, probably the 20-man box, going for like $90. But you're effectively getting twice as many figures in there. So it's still GW pricing, but it's going to be up there. Speaking of GW pricing, last word is the Age of Darkness starter box is going to be $299 USD. So $300 starter box. That's a lot. Given how much you're getting in the box, though, I still think it's a hell of a deal. The demos, I mean, you're looking at 40 dudes. You're looking at 4 sets of troops, 2 boxes of Terminators, 2 HQs, a brand new kit that's got all the different options for the Contemptor, and then this new upgraded big transport version of a Land Raider. Can hold 20, 25 guys or something in it ridiculous. It'll be under 300. It's just under $299. That's still, considering from, I think, I want to say Valorec figured it out, or somebody else did the numbers at some point, and they figured out that this is probably about $600 worth of minis. somewhere between $500 and $600 with the minis. That tank by itself, that big old tank, is probably going to be like a $150 model all by itself. The Dreadnought's a $75 model by itself. The 2 HQs are going to be $35 models by themselves. So do the math. I mean, it's expensive, but not really. Yeah, a technicality. I mean, I know of a couple people that are actually lining up to buy multiple boxes, like, because the deal on it is so good, it's just worth it to just buy 2 or 3 boxes. I can't see that. I'm not gonna go. Honestly, I'm not going that crazy in the Heresy. I want to play Heresy. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I got this bad boy right here. I want the box to get me started in the army. There's some plastic there that I really want. There's a basic rule book. There's templates. There's all the stuff you need to play the game, and I can supplement it out with this bad boy here. So, giving GW $300 for a game system that I'm going to play, I'm okay with. Giving them an additional $70 to buy my book, and maybe eventually $140 to buy both of the extra books, because I'm going to need the Librum Hereticus and I'm going to need the Librum Imperialis. I'm going to need both books to be able to play them. But that's pretty much all I'm going to buy from them. I'm going to buy those 2 books, and then that's it. We're done. Pretty much everything else will be printed, but that's okay. I'm not doing tournaments. I'm playing with my buddies, and I've got some really good sculpts. I've got some really good sculpts. So I want to make sure GW, for the investment they're making in this game, that I'm not just, I'm just going to print everything and I'll pirate the books and shit like that. I'm not that guy, but I want to give them the money so that I get that initial investment in the game, but I'm going to print a lot of that stuff afterwards. I'm already working on my Cafractes. So, I've got a Cafracti builder. I've got a Mark III builder. I've got a Mark II builder. I've got a bunch of really good bits, and I've got boxes of extra bits, along with some really good STLs. And I've got people to play with, so it'll be great. And like I said, I'm not going to go nuts. I'm going to probably buy those three things, maybe work up to 3,000 points in both my word bearers and 300 points in my wolves, and just be happy with that. The one thing I do know I want to get for my wolves, I want a Layman Russ. I actually want to get Big Man Russ himself, so that at some point we can play like some crazy 3,000 or 4,000 point game, and I can stick him on the board and go, let's go. And maybe get somebody who's got 1,000 Suns army, and they can get Magnus to Red on the table, and let's go. And do some Burning of Prospero stuff. That would be hella fun. But again, that's a big thing. I want to play this game. I specifically want to play this game for the narrative and storytelling and fun part of the game. I don't want this to be like some super ultra competitive shit. I just want to have fun with this game. All right, we've talked enough about Heresy. What else is on the horizon? Kill Team, the new box, went on pre-order this past weekend. Maybe dropping this week. I don't know if it's dropping this week or next week, but holy crap, we've got Traitor Guard and Infiltrators / whatever the other the sneaky Phobos starter dudes. Like the worst upgrade sprue ever from everything I've heard, but who cares? We finally got Marine rules, official Marine full out cards and rules for Kill Team. That's what I'm kind of been waiting for. Plus, we're gonna have Traitor Guard, which is gonna be freaking awesome to have. because Trader Guard means Trader Guard are coming. They're not just going to throw a single unit of them in the kill team and then forget about them. So rules for playing Trader Guard are coming. I'm willing to stake my reputation on that one. I'm betting they're going to be in the Imperial Guard rules. There will be a section on playing Trader Guard, like they'll be their own type of regiment, or there's going to be rules on playing them in the Codex Chaos Space Marines. I'm leaning more heavily on it being in the Imperial Guard book, only because that Imperial Guard book has got pushed back twice now. I'm thinking that Imperial Guard release is going to be the big deal. I think they're going to go freaking nuts on Guard because, Guard's like their second best seller. Like, Marines are their number one, but like Guard are like their number two. That's kind of crazy when you think about it. I honestly think, like I said, I think they're going to be in their own book. I think they're going to be in the Guard book. I think the Guard book is going to have rules for building Trader Guard. I'm also almost absolutely certain that when we get that Guard book, there's going to be like a dozen different regiments in there. It's not just going to be like the same 6 regiments. I think we're going to see them moving the Kriegers over into mainstream G-dubs. I think there's going to be a massive. I think that's going to be a massive push for models. I think the Guard are going to get a crap load of models. I honestly believe that. I believe they're going to. I mean, one of my guys tells me there's a mid-range tank, not as big as a Baneblade, but bigger than a Layman Rust that's going to fit like a weird slot for them. One of the problems the Guard have is that because they're one of the oldest armies out there, they've got a lot of bloat. So they've got a lot of units multiple units that do kind of the same thing. So I think we're going to see some serious changes. I think we're honestly going to see some massive changes to how the Guard work. And I'm looking forward to it because I love the Guard. I absolutely love the Guard. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with them. But that's not going to happen for a bit. I mean, we're also looking at the Guard. I mean, who do we got left? Chaos Marines are getting all the love now. They're going to be coming out really freaking soon. Chaos Knights are getting their book this weekend. Their book drops this weekend. So you'll have Chaos Knights. You'll have Chaos Knights, and then Imperial Knights just came out. So who's left? Marines, Chaos Marines, Demons, and Guard, and then League of Voltan. And that's it. So I don't think we're going to get out of 2022 without everybody getting their new codex. I think everybody's going to have all their good stuff by the end of 2022. I think we're going to see a huge push for models in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter. I think third quarter is going to be huge. I think we're going to see so much shit come down in third quarter where people are going to not going to know what to do. We're going to have people selling children and hawking organs for what we're going to all see in Q3. But that being said, let's be real here. When they got to that point with 8th edition, you got a year of that. And then we went to 9th. So I think we're honestly looking at, we're now in June as of what? Wednesday? We're in June, Thursday. This week, we're in June. So we're halfway through the year. I think we're looking at 18 to 24 months. And then we're going to see 10th edition. or 9.5, however they want to coax it. Yeah, and that's the thing. You got World Leaders that are coming out. They're going to probably be coming out. Honestly, from what I've heard, World Leaders are coming out in November. What I've heard specifically is World Leaders is November. League of Votan is August. You're going to have Chaos Marines here in June. We're going to see Demons in July. That means we see Guard probably late September, October, because we're going to see World Leaders at the end of October, beginning of November. And then we're not going to see any new releases. Because remember, they use December to push the end of Thanksgivings, and they start pushing their Christmas boxes and pushing their narrative stuff and pushing their memorial, their commemorative miniatures at the end of the year and that kind of thing. So I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a once-a-month cycle for the rest of the year through the end of October, beginning of November, when we'll see World Leaders. That'll be the last one to come out this year. My belief. Purely my belief, but just seeing what I've seen and what I know about the industry. I think we're going to see World Leaders at the very end of the last tail of the year. Keep in mind, they're going to intersperse in between. But they're getting to the point where they're releasing an Age of Sigmar release, 2 weeks later, a 40K release. 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after that, a Age of Sigmar release. 2 weeks after that, a 40K release. They've been doing this alternating. So you're basically getting a 40K and an Age of Sigmar release once a month. Something. Whether it's a battle box or a codex or something. There's a lot of Age of Sigmar that doesn't have codexes right now, or war tomes or battle tomes, whatever they call them. There's a lot of the army that doesn't have it right now, and they're suffering from balance because of it. They're really behind the eight ball on this one. I keep hearing a lot of people complaining about how bad the Stormcast dragons are because they're just so broken. There's heard of another tournament recently that banned the dragons from play because they're so imbalanced. I don't know the rules on them specifically. I really want to get my hands on a copy of the Codex. Since I play Stormcast, I want to get a copy of their new Codex and see how they play. Because if they're really that broken, then they really need to address it. But they also have their General's Manual. Should be coming out here in June. Like, we should see it real quick. We should see it probably next couple weeks. With Kill Team coming out this week and pre-sale for Horace Heresy coming out the following week, or coming up this coming weekend, the following weekend. So not this weekend coming up, but next weekend, we'll probably see some sort of Age of Sigmar news release, or we're going to see Chaos Space Marines, and then whichever one we don't see a week from this Saturday, we'll get the other one the following week. So, because Sylvaneth need their book, Skaven need their book. They're both getting announced. They both just had their battle box. Everything that now has up to date. So those are the next two guys in the slot. And once they get their codexes going, as soon as they get their codex going, we'll see the next battle box come up. It seems like for Age of Sigmar, and for 40K as well, I think they're really leaning into these twin army battle boxes. It seems, I could be wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like we're seeing a lot more of them than we did, say, for 8th edition. Like 8th edition, we got 3 or 4 a year completely. And we've had, I think we've had 10 so far this year. Maybe not 10. Let me go back over that. We had the Sisters in the Night Haunt. We had the Dwarves and the Ildeneth. We had the Skaven and the Sylvaneth. We've had those 3 so far this year. Okay, so not 10. More like 6 or 7.
That's still a lot.
We had the Elves and Chaos. We had the Gene Stealers and the custodians. I know we had one more. But I mean, even if not, that's still, we're in May. We've had 5 of them this year alone, but 1 a month. That's still a huge production cycle for them. That is still a massive. And Necrons and Marines, but that was like, believe it or not, I know it's hard to believe it.
Wasn't that end of last year?
But Necrons versus Marines. I mean, the starter box was now,
I thought that was December.
not last summer, but the summer before. Am I right? We're that was 2020. So we're literally 2.5 years into this edition.
Damn, I thought it was 2021.
Right, but they've had, you're right. They've had a lot of army boxes on their own. They had the Templars had their big release. They had the Orcs had their big release box. The Chaos Knights had their big release box. Yeah, I mean, this has been a big addition. And I mean, we're already 2.5 years in. So that's why I'm thinking we're looking at 10th edition on the horizon. I mean, we may be looking at 10th edition not being that far out. Honestly and truly. Even if they don't box it as a new edition, if they just do like a rules update with a new code or the new basic rule book. So they don't completely undo the edition, but they basically give us a brand new rule book with all the rules that they've changed over the last 2.5 years updated. And then we get into the whole book slut again, because then we start doing the codex refreshes. And you look at it, who needs codex refreshes? Marines definitely do. Armor Contempt was a nice stopgap. It's hard to say. I mean, Necron's got a little bit of an update, but everybody's still struggling with them. And we're still in the idea that the newest army is who's going to do best. I mean, Death Guard, I thought Armor Contempt was going to do better for Death Guard, but they still got issues. Yeah, because it was last summer that we got, or last year, even think about it. Last year we had the Grey Knights and Thousand Suns box. We had the Drukhari and Sisters of Battle double box. Yeah, I mean, they've really pushed these combat boxes. So yeah, even after they gave a bunch more units core, Necrons are still. I mean, if you're a really good Necron player and you know what you're doing, there is obviously shenanigans you can pull, but it is what it is. I mean, perfect example is Tau. Tau came out of the box, we're like, holy crap. And they've done a couple nerfs to them, and Tau are still strong. You just got to play them differently than you did when they first came out. They're still good. Don't get me wrong. I am not complaining about Tau. They are still a great army, but you're playing them very differently than you were when you first came out. You're not relying at all on a crap load of indirect fire, which is one of the things they originally had a lot of. So, yeah, we're getting to 2.5 years of, we're getting close to 2.5 years of Dominion. So, or not Dominion, of Indominus. So, time to start thinking, are they going to be, at the end of the year, start already working on that new edition? It'd be hard for them to not do it. So that means also, more than likely, if they're going to go that route, if they're going to do what they did in 9th, if they did in 8th, that means we're going to probably see, in the same thing they did at the end of 7th, we're going to see a series of campaign books, larger hardcover books with more campaign play across the universe type stuff. For 9th edition, it was for the end of 8th, it was Psychic Awakening. For 7th edition, it was The Gathering Storm, I guess it was called, where they brought out the Yanari, and they woke up Gilliman, and all that happiness happened. So. Ninth edition came out in the summer. It came out in like July, early August of 2020. And Psychic Awakening, the first one was The Blood of the Phoenix. And I want to say that was October, November of 2019. So it lasted for about 9 months. And it was like a the bad thing about it was literally the last book was announced. It wasn't even in print yet, or it wasn't in release yet. But the last book was announced. At the same time they released the last book, same time they announced the last book, they announced a new edition. And like we had that last book in our hands for maybe a month and a half. And Indominus dropped. It was just like, wow, if that long. Because the whole thing about the Psychic Awakening, the last thing they did was, hey, the Necrons are doing this thing. Here's the edition to show you what the Necrons have been doing. And the Silent King showed up. And we're all like, whoa, no wonder they didn't actually they weren't in Psychic Awakening, because they're just the new freaking edition. They're the big bad new edition. Again, I'm so sorry, Necrons. They did you dirty. They did you so dirty. You guys were so poised to be the big bad, and you were like, hi. You got a new codex. We're not going to anymore. Sorry. Which just sucked. I mean, there was a few months. They were freaking, oh my God. I could not handle those freaking dudes. But as soon as like any of the fast armies came out, the Southern Necrons went, we're dead.
That was kind of sucky.
Oh, all right. So, Kill Team coming out. New box coming out this weekend. Horace Heresy goes on pre-sale this weekend. They announced this last week when I was already off, or I guess they did it during the Fan Fest, that they've got all the things worked out. So Cursed City is being re-released, which I'm guessing that means they're going to actually do supplements for Cursed City. I don't know how much I trust some bastards anymore about Cursed City, because Blackstone Fortress was so great, and there was so much hype about it, and they made every expansion such a limited ability to get. And the game was really good. I mean, everybody who's played it has raved about what a great game it is. And then they released Cursed City, and they immediately said, well, we may not do any expansions that we're going to be, this is all we're going to do. It's just like, well, I bought it, and I've got it, and I've assembled it, but I haven't painted a damn thing about it, and I've actually never cracked it open and played it. I really, GW shot themselves in the foot on that one. I got this $200 board game up on my shelf that I haven't touched. And it feels bad, man. Let me tell you. It feels bad. But the fact that they're thinking they're going to do something with it, that they've hinted they're going to do something with it. Well, they've hinted with it, but they've got a bunch of the characters that they've already showed up in other armies now. I don't know. I don't know what to think about. I don't know what to think about Cursed City, especially now that all the unique and special figures that showed up in Blackstone Fortress are now being ported over and used in Kill Team, like the Traitor Guard with the Traitor Ogre and the Traitor, the Renegade Commissar. They got ported over. I don't know what to think right now. I really don't know what to think. I'm kind of like, honestly, if you gave me my druthers about it, they should do expansions for Curse City, but I'd almost rather see them re-release Blackstone Fortress and bring it back out. Or one of their other board games that doesn't need expansions. Like, holy shit, I would love for them to bring Space Hulk back out. My God, I would love to see Space Hulk again.
It's for you.
Thank you.
Has something on the back.
Yeah. I would love to see Space Hulk come back out again. I guess they released for Aeronautica, which there's something about Aeronautica that makes me go, that looks really cool. I'm not going to buy that game. I want to, but I don't want to. Same with Titanicus. There's something about Titanicus that makes me go, it's a really cool game. No, not really. I don't want it. No. Part of me really wants to, and part of me is just like, no, never mind. I don't need another game. It's bad enough I'm getting into Horace Heresy. I don't need more plastic crack. I got enough plastic crack in my life.
There's a reason it's plastic crack.
So let's talk about the future, folks. Let's talk about, first off, I'm getting killed here. Apparently nobody thinks about my future because I only got 3 people in here and nobody even hit me, gave me a single thumbs up. Apparently I'm not even worth it. I'm not entertaining, so it hurts. I think it's right here. What's in the future? Well, like I said, we're gonna be reorganizing and moving the studio out of this room and into the next room. Thank you, Commodore. I'm just about done with both my commissions. Lady D's working on a couple commissions. She's finishing up. And then I can actually paint my own figures for a bit. I'm helping with the Warp Storm series of tournaments. I'll probably participate in a couple more as a player. But competitive 40K is not where I want to be right now. At least not with the way the meta is working out. Because it's not about playing your favorite units. It's not about playing the units you really like. It's really more about what's what and what's good, what's not, and what's viable, what's not viable. And all your decisions have to be based on points value to what it can take away from your opponent in points value. And that's cool and that's great. But I've realized that as much as I wanted to get into competitive 40K, because I really did. When Ninth came out, my whole goal was I'm going to get into competitive. I want to play competitively. And I've realized I don't necessarily have the killer instinct that you kind of need to be like a serious competitive player. And I'm too much of it's a game that I love. And so when I see people doing shitty things in tournaments, I get mad about that more than I am about, how my army sucks or how my army's good. And I get it. I let it get to me personally. And so I need to kind of reassess where I'm at on that specific thing. So, I mean, I'm going to still play my Tau, try and get more points, and see if I can actually get just, like a top 5 finish if I can keep refining my list. But I don't know. At this point, I got to say the competitive side of 40K is starting to lose a little bit of its luster. And I think it's not because of the game itself, but I think it's of the monotonous nature of it. I've been basically playing the same list for the last 6 months with very small variations here and there. There have been variations. I'm not saying I haven't played variations, but I've experimented with small variations to pretty much the same results. And I know there's some fine-tuning that can be done. But do I want to play that? I don't know. It's tough. It's real tough. So, and the idea of playing like a narrative campaign is far more appealing to me. It's part of the reason why I've been kind of entranced with Age of Sigmar, because it's just kind of like, let's throw some dice, get some figures killed, and walk off the table. Hey, we'll throw some dice again later. Have a good time with it. That's why Horace Heresy, you're telling historical stories, and units are really evenly balanced. So it's really more about your thought process and telling the story. Like I said, I like 40K. I think Games Workshop pretty much is my favorite game company. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a stan for them. It's like there's stuff they do that's fucked up. And there are figures they have that are crappy, and I can find some nice alternatives that look pretty freaking cool. And I think if I'm playing with my buddies and I'm playing with my friends, it's a good time. I think my buddy Max hit it on the head when he said the biggest problem with 40K is that it's 40K. It's just not designed for balance. It's designed for meta chasers because that's what makes them money. And I don't think we'll ever really truly see absolute balance except near the end of a edition, because at that point you've basically fixed everything you can, and that's the closest you're going to get. Now, let me tell you, what I'm hearing and seeing, balance is pretty good right now. Like, things aren't like completely skewed. It's like a half dozen armies that are okay, but Tyranids are still broken as hell. And there's still some stuff going on. I don't know. I think for right now, I want to focus on getting stuff painted, getting stuff built, and focusing on the creative aspect of the game more. So I think you're going to see some painting tutorials out of me soon. I think you're going to see some terrain tutorials out of me soon. I think we're going to be making a board real soon that I'm going to be building as a gift for somebody very special to me. So, and I think when we do that, we'll talk about that a bit more. So, in the meantime, we're going to give a big shout out to all our patrons. We have 9 patrons right now, and I'm really proud of that, having them 9 patrons. I want to give Minnie Warmutt, Joe Bookish, Inquisitor Zane, Mythos Kushranada, Greg Tesh, James Brown, Master Modeler, Hellchild by Hellworks, and then lastly, my 2 top tier guys, the lovely Flight of the Phoenix, and my man, my brother, another mother, Commodore, Man who has my back and knows I have his. You have, Commodore. You have been saying it. And sometimes people can tell you things, and sometimes you have to see them for yourself. I had to see it for myself. So I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. I want to remind everybody, it's a game. Enjoy that game. Build those figures. Paint those figures. Build your terrain. Play some games. Whether it's Games Workshop, whether it's Age of Sigmar, 40K, Horace Heresy, Kill Team, Song of Fire and Ice, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever game it is you're playing. Enjoy it. Have friends, be social, play games. And just don't take it so fucking seriously. It's a game. It's meant to be played. I'm Big D. Big love to all y'all. And have a great night. And until then, stay epic.